I the antagonist for having to take care of my family and making my partner upset? My mother was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer about a year ago. It was right after I met my partner, I'll call them Amy. Now me and Amy are in a long-distance relationship. And though it's been hard since her day is my night, she was there with me through it all, and I've always done my best to return the favor. I tried to keep a schedule with taking care of my mother in the day and talking to Amy at night. But I've been struggling with it since I have to wake up early to feed my mother, and Amy always gets upset when I go to bed early, so I haven't been getting enough sleep. I've talked to Amy about this, and I tried to get her to understand how difficult it is for me and how exhausted I am, while reassuring her that I love her and I want to talk to her as much as possible. I ended up making a schedule where, since Amy wakes up around 7 p.m. for me, I'll talk to her after I lay my mother in bed until it's 11 p.m. Amy seemed fine with it at first, but then she became colder towards me and then soon after, ghosted me. After a few harsh days, she ended up texting me and we got back together, but she was still trying to get me to stay up until 3 a.m. Every time I refused, she would claim I didn't love her and I didn't care about, so I agreed to stay up a little longer. Yesterday morning, my mother had some medical problems which required us going to the hospital. I didn't know we were going to be staying overnight, so I didn't have my phone charger, and I wasn't thinking straight to text my girlfriend what happened, and my phone died. Once we got home, I charged my phone and saw all the texts from my girlfriend. She was saying how she was going to leave and was saying goodbye, then sending me depressing TikToks. This isn't the first time she's done this, so I know she's not going to leave, especially since she's continuing to send me stuff. I haven't texted back. I love her, but I'm so tired. There's no one else to take care of my mother since I have no close family, and my father passed 4 years ago, and I also have to cook and clean the house and take care of my grandparents too. I'm also a minor, so all of this has been hard. Am I not giving my girlfriend enough? Am I the asshole? It sounds like you are juggling a lot of responsibilities and doing your best to navigate a challenging situation. It's important to communicate openly with your girlfriend about your limitations and prioritize your well-being and caregiving duties. It's okay to set boundaries and take care of yourself first in order to continue being there for your loved ones. Am I the antagonist for publishing a poem about my parent in a contest? Hello, so for a backstory, I 21-year-old female, and my mother have never had a great relationship. We always had issues. I was kicked out by the age of 14, and I lived with my grandmother ever since. When I was 19, I started hanging out with this bad person. Let's call him Frank. Frank and I got very close, very quickly. He lived with me for 3 months. He had an issue with his drinking, and I started drinking with him. It was so bad I barely remember the 3 months he lived with me. My family cut me off, which I understood. I was very bad. But when I turned 20, I finally got out of my bad ways and cut Frank off. I slowly got my relationship back with my siblings and my father. I talked to my mother then too, but a few months after my 20th birthday I got hurt. I didn't start my bad habits again, but I texted my mother and she flipped on me. She blamed me for what happened and she called me selfish and a lot more. She disowned me for something I went through. A few months after that, I found out she had stolen my Christmas presents from her side of the family and used the money they gave me. I then found out she made fun of me for sleeping in my closet because I was scared to sleep in my room because of what happened to me in my room. She then tried to get my siblings to stop talking to me again, but they told her no because I didn't do anything wrong to deserve that. I truly don't know what I did wrong ever since I entered a poem I wrote about my relationship with my mother in a contest, and I won a chance to publish a book of my poems about my mother since I have a lot I have written about her since I was kicked out at the age of 14. I feel bad because I don't want to make her seem like a bad person, so I ended up posting one on Facebook to see how people would respond to it, and my mother saw it and flipped once again on me. I ended up not publishing my book, which I regret in some ways, but I didn't want my mother to freak out on me for it. But besides that, I don't know why she is acting like this. Ever since she has been trying to make my life hard. She refuses to let me go to my siblings' birthday parties. She won't let my dad drive me to places like doctor appointments and stuff like that. She also won't let my dad truly talk to me. He has been hiding the fact he talks to me, and when I'm on the phone with my siblings, she always talks about me when she knows I can hear her. I just feel like my mother truly hates me for something that happened to me that I had no control over. Help! Am I the asshole? Am I the antagonist? It sounds like you've been through a lot and are trying to navigate a difficult relationship with your mother. It's important to prioritize your well-being and boundaries, even if it means facing her disapproval. Remember to take care of yourself and prioritize your own mental health in this situation. Am I the antagonist for having a heart-to-heart with my best friend over their monstrous new lover? My best friend, we will call him Kevin, and I were hanging out at his place today after work. Kevin's hobby is restoring old motorcycles, so he was showing me his latest project out in the garage. Even though I am not a gearhead myself, Kevin and I have known each other for 20 years, and I can still admire good workmanship when I see it. Anyway, when we were almost done, Kevin's new girlfriend, we will call her Taylor, came out to the garage with all sorts of attitude. It was obvious that she had just gotten home from work, since she was in office attire, and I tried saying hi to her, but she kind of blew me off and walked back inside. Apparently, Kevin was supposed to have started dinner but didn't because he was talking to me. I decided to stop Kevin in the garage for a moment so that we could have a man-to-man discussion. I told him that his ex-girlfriend, we will call her Carrie, would never have treated us this way and asked what he saw in Taylor. Kevin seemed annoyed and insisted that he and Taylor are happy and that she is better for him anyway. Carrie was a bartender and was a lot of fun, but Kevin said that she was too immature and not someone he could settle down with. I was stunned by Kevin's lack of self-awareness. Here he was, having dated so many women that he could be choosy, while I was here single for the last 3 years. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy for Kevin, but the man doesn't know how lucky he is. I suggested a compromise and said that if he's so good at getting women to date him, he should dump Taylor for being a difficult person and find someone who's both mature and kind. Kevin gave me a scowl for a few seconds and said, "I think it's time for you to go." Kevin had never been so blunt or so rude with me, and I think I hurt his feelings bad. I got in my car and left, but all of my text messages since getting home have gone unanswered. I told my roommate what happened, and he insisted that I was in the wrong. He also said that I should apologize to Kevin for what I said. I think it's such BS that I can't even go over to my friend's place and talk to him without his nasty girlfriend, basically blaming me for being hungry. If you really think about it, without Kevin's hobby, we wouldn't have been in the garage in the first place. It just seems like everyone around me is all haughty and self-important all the time, and they can't stop and smell the coffee. I just want things to stop being so serious all the time, and I worry that pretty soon Taylor will try and prevent me from speaking to Kevin in her little psycho plot to destroy our relationship. I'm really feeling frustrated and upset by what happened. Am I the a-hole? It's great that you've been friends with Kevin for so long and can appreciate his motorcycle restoration skills, but perhaps intervening in his relationship with Taylor wasn't the best move. It's important to respect his choices and boundaries, even if you disagree with them, and apologizing might help mend the situation. Remember, relationships can be tricky, so approaching things with a bit more understanding and lightheartedness could go a long way in preserving your friendship. Am I the antagonist for having hard nipples at work? Basically what the title says. I am a 27-year-old woman, engineer, working in an office that is 90% men. For the past month, it has been freezing in my office. The weather is getting nicer, but we're not quite at the point where we need to be blasting 67-degree air conditioning. A little over a week ago, I put in a work order to bump up the temperature just a little bit, and the facilities team actually followed through with it. I made the mistake of making it known that I was the one that requested the warmer temperature just in casual conversation with some of my colleagues. Some of them teased me like, "Oh, so you're the reason I've been sweating all week." I just laughed it off. Didn't think anything of it, really. Well, this morning I came into the office and it was cold. I was not prepared considering that it had been warm enough after I put in my request. I didn't dress for the colder temperature and was wearing slacks with a thin white blouse. I hate padded wired bras, so I usually wear bralettes. Well, today I was so cold that my nipples became visible through my shirt, to the point where apparently it bothered one of my coworkers so much that he had to go and complain to my manager. He, my manager, approached me halfway through the day and gave me the option to work the rest of the day remotely or go home and change. This was extremely frustrating since I actually had some work that needed to be completed in person, and I really didn't have the time to go all the way home, change, and come back. On top of that, he approached me about this in front of some of my coworkers. I wasn't able to hold back my frustration and pretty much said I would not be doing either of those things. I tried explaining that I really needed to be in the office and that as a compromise I could camp out in a conference room for some of the time. The coworker who complained, 23-year-old man, spoke up at this point and said something about how it was distracting and unprofessional. He suggested that I stop being an ass and so sensitive to temperature, and then admitted he was the one that requested facilities to bump the temperature back down. This angered me even more. I responded by saying that he needed to grow up, and that he could go home if he was that bothered by the shape of my nipples showing through my shirt. Manager interjected at this point, and I walked off and stayed in a conference room for the rest of the day. I got a phone call from my manager just before I left. He said he understood my frustration, but that my outburst earlier in the day was unprofessional. I recognized that it was, but then he asked that I apologize to my coworker tomorrow to keep the peace. I declined and ended the call. I just glanced at my work email and see that I now have an hour-long meeting set for tomorrow morning with both my manager and that coworker, titled Level Set. Am I the asshole? While it's understandable that you wanted a comfortable work environment, it's important to consider how your actions and reactions may impact others professionally. It's not ideal for personal comfort preferences to lead to workplace disruptions, so finding a middle ground and addressing the situation maturely could be beneficial. Am I the antagonist for calling my friend a creep for wanting to date one of our friends? I, 18 years old female, have a group of friends who are mostly over the age of 18. We have only 4 people in our online friend group who are under 18, and they are 17 or 16, so they qualify as a different group of people. My friend in this situation is 19 years old and a male. For privacy's sake, I'll call him Jake. Our friend group is all very close, and we all get along. Recently, while messaging each other like we normally do when we're not all together hanging out or busy, Jake brought up that he would date our friend, who is part of the other group of people, a 16-year-old friend named Molly. Jake has been around and known Molly for longer than I have, and has helped her through a lot of medical problems, being a source of comfort for her. Looking back, the situation was weird. He did whatever she wanted and went wherever she went, etc. But we all just assumed they were close like that. I messaged him back confused and said something like, "Oh, you make it sound like you want to date her. Of course I know that's not what you mean though, lol." To which he replied, "No, that's exactly what I mean. And I would be dating her if I could, but she's had a bad experience with relationships and doesn't want to right now. But eventually, I'll date her." I was obviously horrified. Even if it's only a 16 and 19-year-old, and it's technically legal, I felt absolutely disgusted that he would think about dating or possibly doing other things with her. After he told me that, I called him a disgusting and vile creep for wanting to date a 16-year-old when he was 19, and he was disgusting for even thinking about it. Jake was outraged when he saw me say that and said that my partner is 17, almost 18, and he's still a minor, but how I would say it's probably different because I'm a hypocrite. I got mad and left the group chat, but later my partner messaged me saying what I did was messed up and I shouldn't have said that to him or called him that. But I feel like I'm justified in what I said, especially because my partner is 18 soon, and 17 and 18 versus 16 and 19 is very different. I needed some outside opinions, so am I the asshole? It's understandable that you were shocked and upset by Jake's intentions, as a significant age difference can raise red flags in any situation. It's important to communicate your discomfort respectfully, rather than resorting to hurtful language, to navigate these sensitive topics within your friend group. Am I the antagonist for asking my long-distance relationship partner to move quicker than what is planned? My boyfriend, 32 years old, and I, 33 years old female, have been long-distance for 2.5 years and have half a year left. He started an apprenticeship the weekend after we reconnected and started chatting, and he wants to work for his mentor for 3 years. I've always known the 3-year mark from day one, as he was always planning on moving here. The apprenticeship was an amazing opportunity but was unexpected at the time. This evening I started feeling bitter and resentful because I am missing him and suggested that it's his fault. He put the 3 years on us, not his mentor, as the mentor doesn't even know he's planning on moving here in 6 months, so there's nothing stopping him from moving sooner. He's mad because I made him feel like an but he understands where I'm coming from. He misses me too. He points out that I've told him in the past his loyalty and work ethic is one of the things I found attractive and always supported. Well, 2.5 years in I'm missing him, I feel alone, and isn't it him making us wait? I'm self-employed, so when I visit him it's about $1,000 between flights, paying someone to watch my dog, cover my shifts, and turning away work. I also have a side gig on weekends, for a few days with him, and he has told me until he's making more at his job, he can't come here as often. So Reddit, am I the asshole for pressuring him to move sooner and putting the hurt of the long-distance relationship on him? Background on the relationship. We met while my band was on tour years ago, and when I came home, I started a relationship with someone else, so we didn't continue a friendship. He would come to a show when my band would tour, and we'd hang. There was always chemistry. We reconnected when he was visiting friends who live in the same city as me, 2.5 years ago. Just so happened we were both single and kept texting after he left. Eventually video and phone calls and more visits, and then a year into it, I said yes to defining the relationship. He's an awesome guy, we have the same life goals and great communication, so no way I'm giving up on this relationship. He's worth the wait even though I'm feeling fed up waiting at the moment. It's understandable to feel frustrated in a long-distance relationship, but it's important to communicate openly and work towards a solution together rather than assigning blame. Express your concerns and needs to your boyfriend, find a compromise that works for both of you, and continue supporting each other through this challenging time with understanding and patience. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.